What's up, everyone? It's your boy Grant back again with another video. And today, I'm finally going to be putting together my gaming PC. The parts I've been waiting for finally came in today. And the parts is the CPU cooler. I got the Cooler Master i30. It's a little simple CPU cooler for now until I upgrade to another one later on. A Wi-Fi adapter, a little cheap one that I got off of Amazon. This is until I get the actual router that I want. But I'm getting the router later because I'm trying to decide now if I'm going to move or not. That's the thing. I'm deciding if I want to move or not. And then SATA cables, because the one that's currently in the PC is extremely short. It's about that long, so it's like stretching from the hard drive to the motherboard, and the motherboard that's in there now is about to come out anyway, because the motherboard that's in here now is actually from a PC that I bought back in 2009. So yeah, if you do the math, that's 11 years. I've had this motherboard is 11 years old. And actually the hard drive is 11 years old too, because that comes from out the same computer. So I'm keeping the hard drive for now until I get a M.2 drive to replace that with, and then I'm going to get a few SSDs and 2 mechanical hard drives for storage. So yeah, with that, let's get to the build. So yeah, as you can see, this is my gaming PC right here. I call it Demon. Originally it was called Beast because I kept the fans red, but now I got the fans purple, so I name it Demon because the other PC, the sister PC to this, I built that for my friend Whitney, who has a white one. And the lights on that one is blue, and we named that one Angel. So Angel and Demon makes sense. So yeah, that's the motherboard I was talking about, the 11-year-old motherboard. And as you can see, I had to put the fan in the back of the case because this motherboard was designed for the case that originally came in, which had the fan in the back. So the only other fan header that was on this motherboard is in the back of the motherboard. These fans aren't even spinning. This is the only fan that's providing airflow to through this computer right now. So yeah, the only real upgrade that was done is the case itself, and then the PSU at the bottom, and that's it. But let me stop talking and actually get the building. I'm going to take the motherboard and all the old stuff out of here, and then I'm going to be starting off from basically a clean slate. So yeah, let's get started. So I got the original motherboard out of the case, and the only beauty about the original motherboard is that basically all the cables are in the places where I need them for the new motherboard. Only cables that aren't in the place where I need them is the other fan headers. Not the other fan headers, the other fan cables. The front panel cables, and I believe, and the USB 3 cable. So I'm about to route those now. That way when I put in the motherboard, it'll already be in place. So let me unhook this cable, because I got new ones, so I don't need that anymore. And these actually need to be routed. I need to take this out. Oh, and the USB 2 cable. So this needs to be routed over here where the HD audio cable was routed. Oh, that is the HD audio cable. Where's the USB 2? I guess but never mind. This is the USB 3 cable. Route that through there. And then I will take the front panel connectors and route them through where the HE Auto was routed also, because the front panel connectors are down there at the bottom. And I'm going to do the same thing with the fan cables, because those are down at the bottom as well. So all this is being routed through this hole down here at the bottom. And plus, it'll be better if I put them down this hole at the bottom now rather than later, because the size of the motherboard is going to prevent me from routing the cables through this hole later on. So it's best that I do it now. So basically everything is routed where I need it routed. And that actually helps me with my cable management significantly, because everything is pretty much routed when it needs to be routed. Only thing is I probably have to put a little more slack on these so it'll come around the SSD cage right here. Other than that, the routing of the cables is pretty much done for me already. So now I'm going to move on to actually putting the CPU into the motherboard and putting the memory in the motherboard and putting on the CPU fan. As you can see, I am using a ASRock B360 Pro 4. This motherboard only supports 8th gen CPUs right out the box. You can upgrade the BIOS so they can support 9th grade CPUs, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to upgrade the BIOS and I'm going to get me a 9th gen CPU. And then later on down the line, I'm going to buy me a 10th motherboard that supports 10th gen. So probably within a year or so, probably less than that, 6 months, I'm going to upgrade to a 9th gen. And then 3 months after that, I'm going to upgrade to 10th gen. So that is my plan. So yeah, let's get to putting the components together for the motherboard. Make sure you have this. The IO shield, make sure you have that. Otherwise, your computer's gonna look naked in the back where the IO shroud is. Make sure you have this. All right. So, take the motherboard out. I like putting the motherboard together on the box that it came in. That way, it's less likely to get damaged, basically. So, first thing first is to put the CPU in. Once I remember I know where it is. Put the CPU in. I got the Core i3 unlocked. Basically, this is an overclockable i3 CPU. And this board actually does overclocking, surprisingly. I thought it didn't, but I did some testing before the other parts came, and this actually does overclocking. So that's a plus, a great plus, especially for games. So let me take this out the box. Open this up. We just lift this handle and it's open. Now, when you put in the CPU, make sure you line the gold arrow that's in this corner with the arrow down here on the motherboard. That tells you what direction to put the CPU in. Now, when you put the CPU in, you just gently sit it down and it will seat itself. Do not press on it. Don't do anything, because you can damage the pins that's on the motherboard and your CPU will not work right whatsoever. So next, you just close the hatch, and then the plastic piece should come off by itself. See, it just popped. You just put the latch underneath there, and now the CPU is seated perfectly inside the socket. Now, the next thing I'm going to put on is the CPU cooler. Now, I believe with this CPU cooler, I'm going to have to put a bracket on the back. Yes, I do. So this is the bracket that comes with it that I'm going to put on the back so that it will seat in here. Oh, no, it will attach to the motherboard correctly. Because this CPU cooler has screws, and the way this motherboard's set up, it'll just sit there and it won't be screwed into anything. So I need this bracket so that it'll have something to screw into. Now, the other thing is this CPU cooler comes pre-applied with thermal paste, which is a plus for me because I actually forgot to buy some thermal paste. And so the fact that it comes with thermal paste is actually a plus for me. So, yes. So let me put this bracket on the back. Okay. And it comes with 3M double-sided tape. So it will stick to the back of the motherboard. That way I don't have to worry about it falling off while I'm trying to put on the CPU cooler. And it just goes on like so. Hold on. Wait, do I have to take? It's been a little, hold on. I will figure it out. Let me see if it'll go on this way. Okay, it goes on better this way, which is weird because that's basically upside down. But, hey. Now I'm going to press it gently, make sure that the double-sided tape sticks. And as you can see, not coming off. Now, to put on the CPU cooler, take off the plastic. I'm going to make sure I position this in a way so it'll be easy to plug in the fan. And that way it won't be that much cord slack when I plug it in. I guess I gotta do it this way. Yep. Or I can do it this way. That way it'll be over here. Yeah, I'm gonna do it this way so the cord is over this way. Now to screw it down. When you screw this down, you wanna not screw all it down completely. That way it'll have even pressure applied to each corner. So you alternate corners. And you just keep doing that until it's tightened down. Now make sure you do not over tighten the screws whatsoever. Alright, plug in the CPU fan, and that is basically done. Alright, next is the memory. Now for this board, the memory goes in slots A2 and B2. Make sure you check the guide for your motherboard so you know exactly what slots to put the memory in. And this one for the work best, it goes in A2 and B2. But if you have 4 sticks of memory, you can put it in all 4 slots. So I already have the A2 and B2 open on here. So let me get the memory, and I will put in A2. Put the memory in A2 and B2. Now the memory that I'm using is some generic memory from out of another computer. So the memory also needs to be updated in this computer. But the beauty of this memory is that they're both 4 gig sticks, which means I have 8 gigs of memory technically. But it still needs to be upgraded because the speed of this memory is only rated at 2444. I need it faster than that. No, 2666. Yep. Which is a weird speed to begin with. But make sure you hear the click when you press down on it. That's how you know it's seated inside of the memory slots. Now with that, I am technically done with putting the motherboard together before I put it inside of the case. So with that, I'm about to put the motherboard inside the case. So remember that IO shield that I said make sure you have when you put on your motherboard? I'm about to put in the IO shield now. All you do is just put it in place and just press on it until it completely clicks into place. And there you go. It's completely in place. Now that the IO shield is in, I'm just gonna make sure I move these cables out the way a little bit, and then I just put the motherboard in. Now when you put in the motherboard, make sure you align the holes that's on the motherboard with the standoffs that's inside your case. Like for me, the standoffs were already put inside the motherboard for me by the motherboard manufacturer. So I don't have to worry about putting in the standoffs. So just put in the motherboard, line it up with the IO shield. Alright, I got the motherboard inside the case. And another tip I can give you about putting the motherboard in the case is that there's one standoff that's usually in the center that does not have a hole, that that doesn't have a screw hole, but it has like a little bump that sits inside of the metal hole in the I said keyboard, motherboard, so that the motherboard will be able to sit there without moving. Like it can't move now because of that one little standoff right there. Now I have an ATX board. Only thing is it's not a full ATX board, because a full ATX board will actually come out further than this, and where these 3 standoffs are, that's where it will actually end up going out, and I actually will have to put screws inside right there. So I got the motherboard in. Now I can screw the motherboard down. Right, now that I got all the screws screwed in, I can plug in the cables. So first thing is the 24 pin, which is this big one. The 24 pin plugs in right here. Alright. And then after that, I'm going to plug in the USB 3 cable, which looks like this. And it plugs in inside of the port right here. Now be careful, because you don't want to bend any pins on the motherboard when it comes to any connector, because if you once you bend the pin, that's it. Next, I'm going to plug in the front panel connectors. Sorry about that. I had to make sure that the cables were seated in there comfortably, because some of them were a little bunched up together. So, like I said, I'm going to put in the front panel connectors next, which is these group of cables. This you would want to consult your motherboard manual also if you're not sure where to put them, but I already know where to put the cables. So the HD LED, hard drive LED basically, goes right here. The reset switch goes right here, and then the power switch LEDs go, bunch them together, put them right. Oh man, these are the two I do not like the most, because they can slip out your hand. And then the power switch goes right here. Alright, those are connected. Next will be its other two chassis fans. The ones in the front. One plugs in right here beside the front panel connectors. And then the other one plugs in right beside that. Alright. And the last thing down at the bottom that I got plugged in is the HD audio, which goes in right here in the very last connector. Alright. With that, all of those are plugged in. And now, oh, I forgot to plug in the fan right in the back. But that just plugs in right here at the bottom of the CPU fan. Okay. And with that, basically all the cables are plugged in. Alright, I'm going to do a little bit of cable management, and I will be right back. Alright, I have finished all the cable management, and one thing I realized I did not show y'all was me plugging in the hard drive cable and the CPU cable. So the hard drive cable actually goes into one of these four SATA ports on the motherboard right here, and it goes to the hard drive. And then the CPU power cable plugs in up here. The CPU power for this motherboard is 8 pin. If you paid attention to the other one was 4 pin. So I have to put the two 4 pins together and plug it in up here. So that's the CPU power. And with that, all the cabling is done. And the last thing I have to put actually inside of the computer is my Elgato HD60 Pro. That is the last thing I have to put in, and then it will be officially done. The Elgato HD60 Pro. So all you can put in any of the PCI ports. This I forgot exactly which ones the short ones are called. Excuse me for a second, but it goes in one of these three. I'm gonna put it in the second one. So all you do is line up where it's supposed to go, which is this one right here, because this one is for this one. These two are for this one. This one is for this one. These two is for this one. And then the last one is for this one down here at the bottom. So And the thing I like about this case, it has holes on the side so that you can stick your screwdriver down into the unscrew the expansion base spots. And there you go, it's out. Plug in my Elgato. Make sure I put it in right. There you go, it clicked. I can screw the thumb screw back in. Finger tighten it first, and then go back with the screwdriver and tighten it down. There you go. Now, with that, this computer is actually done. So next thing, I'm going to plug it in, and next thing you'll see is me actually installing the drivers for all the hardware that's going to be in this computer. So catch y'all when I'm back with installing the drivers. All right, so I am back. All the fans are spinning on the computer, which is a good sign. I left all the panels off because just in case there's something I gotta fix or swap out or something. But I can fit, it's a lot of air coming from this computer. Like, it's a lot of air, which is perfect. Which means that CPU is gonna be cool and everything, especially while I'm gaming. I already got the Wi-Fi adapter plugged into the back of the computer. First thing first, download the Elgato driver. That way I can do screen recording instead of using my iPhone, which I've been using the whole time. I'm gonna finish downloading this, and once if I'm not able to get it to screen record, I'm gonna be back on here. So, be right back. So I'm finishing this video from holding the phone in my hand because I was going to show you me uploading all the drivers from the computer itself, screen recording it, but I can't get the screen record to work. So I end up downloading the drivers without screen recording it, and unfortunately y'all won't be able to see me download the drivers. Hopefully on the next computer I build, or on the next update to this computer that I make, you will be able to see the screen recording because I'm getting a graphics card. So this has been another video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and catch you in the next one.